Hello and welcome to Consider This, where today we are talking... Oh, I like it.
I like it. Yeah.
It's good to know. Today is completely and totally self-serving, but hopefully you will find it amusing and interesting and noteworthy theater-wise. I am sitting here with the director of Shakespeare in Hollywood at Main Stage Irving-Las, Harry Friedman, and a fellow actor in Shakespeare in Hollywood, Craig Bowman. And as I said, it's self-serving because I am playing the role of Max Reinhardt, the director of the 1934-35 Midsummer Night's Dream film that starred such Hollywood luminaries as Mickey Rooney and James Cagney and the like, Victor Jory, and
the premiere of Olivia de Havilland.
Yes, the premiere of Olivia de Havilland.
Exactly. Debut, yeah.
But this is a fictionalized version of the story written by Ken Ludwig of Lend Me a Tenor fame. And it's basically a farcical look at Hollywood through the eyes of a stage production. But Craig is playing... just tell everybody who you're playing so that I don't monopolize all the conversation.
I am playing Will Hayes, who was the censor of the time, I guess. He would...
The Hayes office.
The Hayes office, yes, right. Which a lot of people know, which is one of the reasons I really love this piece, is because so many of us are playing real people. And I looked him up, and he ran presidential campaigns. He was an incredibly political guy. But in this piece, he works at the studio, and I guess he works for all the studios in a way. I mean, he has...
Right.
Yeah, he's... making sure the scripts are clean.
Does he work for the government, or does he work for...
That's actually a good question.
Actually a board of decency that is... Is it like a ratings board that we have now? What is...
I don't think we had the MPAA.
Yeah, this is pre-MPAA.
It was pre that, but I would guess it's something similar to that. I didn't get that into depth. I was really more interested in what else he did besides this, which he was a real Washington guy, which was interesting that he ended up in L.A. doing this for not a terribly long time, really. It was a short time, and then he went back to Washington and ran presidential campaigns and served in cabinets and things like that. But his big deal is to really keep it clean. He represented a legion of people who wanted, safe things in the movie, I guess, and nothing real questionable with its content.
Well, this is frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is.
So
right.
this is,
a few years.
That was such a shocking thing to happen in Gone with the Wind.
I still think they scripted the childbirth line that he has because of Gone with the Wind coming later. I think of that every time. I don't know nothing about birthing.
Well, Ken Ludwig definitely takes his theatrical licenses for sure.
But every time I say that line, I think he wrote that because of that because of that scene. So you have to come see the show to know what line I'm talking about.
Exactly.
So I say it very quickly.
The thing that I've been struggling with is how much to try and be the Max Reinhardt of history, and how much I have to be the creation of Ken Ludwig.
Well, you have to. I mean, it was a matter of casting too, because I couldn't go out and look for people that looked like Joey Brown and Cagney and Reinhardt. So you look for a sense of Reinhardt and a sense of Cagney-esque character, and the same thing with Joey Brown. And because these names, people know these guys, and there are easy to look up a photograph of them. Exactly who they're wearing.
Even with Jack Warner.
Oh, even with Jack, exactly,
Jack Warner and...
Luella Parsons and all of the real characters, Hayes and everybody that's based in the show that's based on a real living person. You can't, obviously we can't expect to cast lookalikes.
I look absolutely nothing like that.
I don't look like my guy either. I'm probably his height.
But you can look at the sense of that person, and I think the audience is certainly willing to accept that you are Max Reinhardt and you are Will Hayes, and that I think that people are willing to accept that because they know the person of history.
By the way, any background noise that you happen to hear during this podcast is because we are at the theater and they are...
we didn't know they were going to move out here.
They're not vacuuming the lobby. So I think we're going to...
move it?
We're going to adjust
it's like a short
our
move,
location.
Yeah. There you go. Okay.
I want to talk about something... I want to build on that based on... I'm on the play selection committee, and this was a big point that we talked about.
Right. All right, well, we're going to pause for just one moment. We'll be right back with Consider This. If you like what you hear on Consider This, please tell your friends. After all, word of mouth is the only way for us to get the word out. Thank you for listening. Shane Hamlin, who plays the Oberon of Shakespeare lore, why should people come and see the show?
It's a very easy answer. We've had so much fun and laughed so much during the process of putting this show together that I know that the people out in the audience are going to be laughing just as much and have just as much fun as we have putting on the show. I can't wait.
What is your favorite scene of doing the show?
There is a little roller coaster ride in the first act when just before I get cast by the great Max Reinhardt that I just love that whole this series of scenes that happens. It's wonderful.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, here we go.
And we're back.
This is. I hope you listen to the messages from our sponsors. Which don't exist.
Okay, so you wanted
you wanted to say something, Craig.
Well, just a little bit. When this piece came up, it was a unanimous choice. Really.
Well, explain.
I'm sorry. I'm the chair of the play selection committee for Main Stage, and when we were zeroing in on the final selections, this topic came up that Harry was talking about was how are they going to find people to look like, you know, the real people that are in this, the real characters that are in this. And we discussed it for quite some time, and it finally came down to what Harry described, where you're looking for that sense of someone. Because very few people will really remember what they might look like if they can reference it and look it up.
Right.
For the most part. Once after that first scene, you're like, oh, there he is, and that's who that is.
You're not casting a Harrison Ford or Julia Roberts.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we're not doing that. But yeah, it is something that we definitely considered.
Well, and also the fantasy aspect of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, completely.
I mean, one of the conceits of the show is that the real, quote unquote, real Oberon and Puck from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream are magically transmitted to the wood near Athens that happens to be the set of the movie.
Right.
And so all of a sudden they're amongst these Hollywood actors and they have no idea of our customs and our ways and our telephones and such. And so that kind of gives you your breathing room of sorts to sort of say, you know, they're playing these characters. They're playing a character, not necessarily. This is not a historical document.
Right. No, right, exactly right.
This is not. I mean, Bryan Cranston right now is playing LBJ in a play on Broadway. Yeah. It's a little more of a history lesson than this is. This is definitely an entertainment.
Right. I mean, it's interesting because Ken Ludwig did use the facts surrounding the original production of A Midsummer Night's Dream to build the script. And when you read the history of the production of the film, you discover that Victor Jory was a little, here and there on playing Oberon. And Mickey Rooney did break his leg and delay filming. And it was that delay in filming that Ken Ludwig jumped on and said that really occurred. So I could conceivably remove Mickey Rooney and Victor Jory from the scenario and insert Puck and Oberon. Right. And so, and when you come see the play, you'll discover why that's important and how it gets resolved. And so he did play on that whole factual element of it, but he got pretty loose.
Well, and another example is, I found out in doing my research for Max Reinhardt that Max Reinhardt rehearsed the actors, but he didn't actually direct the film.
Direct the film, right.
What is his... I've forgotten his name right now.
Because directed it.
For some reason, he's almost forgotten in history. Yeah. But this was a co-directed film. This was not just directed by Max Reinhardt. Oh, that's interesting. But for Ludwig's purposes, Max Reinhardt, because... And, I'd heard the name Max Reinhardt before signing up for the show. So that's kind of how he sort of picked...
Right, and he picked the fact. I mean, Reinhardt did escape from Austria from the Nazis. Luella Parsons was Luella Ottinger from Illinois. I mean, and all of these little facts are played up in the script, and it's so it's kind of fun. So he creates this almost historical fiction
Right.
of a piece, which is kind of cool.
And it's really funny.
And it is very.
It really is.
History lesson.
Don't let that word culture scare you.
Now we're quoting from the script. And speaking of quoting from the script, a lot of the characters, and you do this quite a bit.
He's pointing at me, so let's see what he's talking about.
Yes, Craig. This is an audio file, not a video. You quote or paraphrase a lot of Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And a lot of characters do that. Puck and Oberon do that quite a bit. And so...
Well, that's funny because I was saying my lines the other night in bed with my wife, and she said, "You're not saying that speech right. It's actually this." I'm like, "No, I'm saying what's in the script."
Right.
And it's
Because we
really
changed it.
close to what he wrote, but he changed it a little bit.
Well, like I just did
and
a reading...
I learned one of them wrong because she told me something else, but I've got it.
I just did a reading of Antony and Cleopatra, and I've started noticing a lot of lines that were in that play that are being used here. And you say like 5 or 6 of them in your one big long speech, which, by the way, I have to say, completely unbiased, is freaking brilliant.
Stop.
It is fun to
Thank
watch.
you.
Every
I wrote that
single
note just 2 nights ago. Brilliant.
Thank you very much. It's a fun one, that's for sure.
And Craig and I get a really nice scene that is a lot of fun to
Absolutely,
do.
yeah.
And I hope that the audience is going to get as much of a kick out of it as we do, because it is a lot of fun to do.
The whole play it's very Ken Ludwig, and if you're familiar with any of his work, you know that he likes to take these elements from Shakespeare and things like that, other sources, and weave them into a wildly funny comical farce. I mean, it's just brilliantly done. And this one, I think, has the added texture to it of the love story, and it's a very sweet play.
It is sweet,
and so that's one of the things that drew me to it. Was it wasn't just this all-out rollicking, door-slamming comedy, but there was an underlying story of discovery. Well, Oberon has the arc, and that's who you follow, and he is a very sweet love story with him, and so it's really cool. It's got a little something for everyone.
Well, it also gives every actor a moment.
Everybody's got a piece.
At least one, and that's really cool.
I wanted to ask you, as the director of the piece, what has been the biggest challenge for you putting this show together in this space with this cast?
The challenge the challenge is with any show like this is the speed with which the play has to occur, because if you'll notice, as farcical as the play is, there are no doors. So
that's true.
There's no door slamming going on, but every transition is an entrance or an exit. And you don't have the finality, you don't have the added physical punctuation mark of a door.
Right.
Which you do in a lot of farces. You can deliver a line, go in, slam the door. Deliver the line, go in, slam the door. And you have a rhythm to it, and the rhythm is funny.
Right.
I mean, people react to it. And this is an entrance to an exit, to an entrance, to an exit, to an entrance, to an exit. And so everything has to be precisely timed. And getting the timing down is okay. You can do that through repetition. Getting the timing and the speed at which it has to occur is really difficult. And I think you guys have done a marvelous job getting the show up on its feet early, which was the goal, was to have it up on its feet running as fast as we could get there, so that this timing became somewhat second nature. And you guys as actors on stage, and you're going to get a big sense of this when we move into the theater, is your muscle memory is going to change a little bit because of the size of the space.
Right.
And the challenge is going to be getting the muscle memory back, so that when everybody's on stage together, you're not thinking about the timing, you're just doing the timing. And that's the goal. So but that's probably the biggest challenge. You guys have been so remarkably talented top to bottom that you're in. Well, no.
Go on. Go on.
I said early on in the process that it was my job to tell you what not to do, not what to do.
That's
and
pretty smart,
I did not have to worry about that, because everybody brought so much to the rehearsal process, and we're so creative that we got to try so many things.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of choices. We didn't have to settle for one moment or one bit or one direction for a particular scene. We got to choose 2 or 3 and find the one that really worked best. And then it was organic. You guys came up with it, so I got to tweak it and put all the moments together. So I think when we move into the theater, which is what we're in the process of doing, I think just getting the muscle memory back to the pacing is going to be a big challenge. But I think you guys will get it.
Yeah, it is hard of the farce to go from there to here, from the studio space.
Right, from a very intimate rehearsal space to the cavern of a theater.
Yeah, I did noises off, and we rehearsed like crazy, kind of like we did this. We were ready 2 weeks before, and then we came over here. I'm like, oh my god, we have to go upstairs. We knew we were going to, but when you actually do it,
right?
It's like, ooh, and that's how this one will be too. I'm pretty sure.
It's all these doors, Lloyd, darling.
I know. And then we have no doors,
and very few stairs.
Very few stairs. Just a couple
stairs. Does Puck have to deal with it?
Oberon goes up the stairs. That's it. Yeah.
I'm talking with Lindsay Hayward, who plays Lydia in the play. Why should people come and see Shakespeare in Hollywood?
Because it's a lot of fun. It's a laugh-a-minute farce with a lot of fun and interesting elements. It manages to take Shakespeare and old-school Hollywood and bring them all together into a nice little neat bow that is relevant and hysterical for modern audiences.
Give us one of Lydia's lines.
It's pretty classy, huh? But it kind of itches around the crotch.
You had to pick that one.
That's my favorite line!
I want to ask, what else? Have you directed other things at Main Stage?
No, this is my Main Stage debut.
Excellent. And mine as well.
And yours as well. So I'm having a great time. It's I can thank Craig a little bit because
not just me,
but I had the great fortune of doing another farce, another 1930s piece called Room Service, which was a famous Marx Brothers vehicle in film. But the play is phenomenal. The play is so much funnier than the film is. And I think that I kind of got a real sense of 30s style.
Right.
And I think that lent itself to this play. And because it obviously has a distinct 30s style to it, that madcap comedy kind of thing. And so the opportunity was there, and I jumped at it. I thought, man, I really do want to work over here. And
Craig, this is not your Main Stage debut.
No,
by any stretch.
I've done maybe one a year for the last few years. So,
one a year,
but this time this is 2 shows right in a row for me, which is so exhausting.
Thank you, Cass.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. You can thank her. I mean, I don't ask for permission, but I check in with her. But anyway, so I was really glad to come on and do this.
So tell me about your experience so far being a part of this cast and playing this role.
This has been really hard because my character is he's sort of disconnected from everybody. Mm-hmm. He's sort of on his own, and everybody else is, having these little rehearsal times where they're bonding. Like I've bonded with you because we have a scene together, but most of the people I don't even interact with till the end.
That's true.
So it's been kind of different for me, but it's probably good in a way for the process.
If you were looking for an antagonist in the script, though, you need Hayes.
Absolutely.
You need him so much.
I love the part when I read it originally for the selection committee, and I thought, that'd be a really good one to do.
Yeah.
And like you, it just sort of worked out with my schedule because you travel and other things happen.
Right.
But, this one just barely worked out, but it did. So, but I love working here. They're just great people. It's on all volunteer based, with the exception of one part-time administrator, and they really do get it all done. And it's very much a community thing. So, I'm happy to be a part of it.
I have to say, I'm really impressed with the organization
that
I've seen. And it's really, people are on top of their stuff, and I mean, taking some photos early so that we had something to get out.
Yep.
The everything just seems to be really. We've already had the proofing of the programs, the stuff like that, and one thing that bugs me to no end is seeing so many errors in a program. And it's just because there's not the oversight.
There's not time.
They don't have. Yeah, there's no time, and they don't have the oversight.
Yeah.
And it drives me insane because it's such an avoidable error.
Right.
And I see a lot of people on their toes. I see,
Well, we've all done shows with in places where you're like, oh my gosh, this seems very disorganized. That never happens here. I mean, they're all really on top of it.
Well, there's a famous triangle of truth. Of which there are 3 elements because it's a triangle. Thank
you for clearing that up.
Yeah, I didn't want there to be any confusion. But it's good, fast, and cheap. Mm-hmm. And you can pick 2. So if you want it to be good and cheap, which is pretty much the definition of theater community there, it's not going to be very fast.
Right.
So you need to give yourself a lot of time.
Good point.
Well, think about it. If you want it good and fast, it ain't going to be cheap.
Yeah.
It's the exact same maxim that I bring to my women.
If you want them good and cheap,
not going to be fast.
It's not going to be fast. but that's it. But you're right. You picked up on. I mean, the fact that they jumped on things early and tried to. I mean, as a director, I'm getting notes 4 weeks ago about things that problem solving early on that we don't have to worry about for another 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, because those other things are going to pop up.
But at least we anticipated. We had production meetings early, and so we kind of had a sense. And it's fabulous to come in with a model of the set on read through.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So
boom.
Yeah.
Charles Wallace, the stage manager of Shakespeare in Hollywood. Why should people come and see the show?
Well, I've been doing shows here since I was about 7 years old, and I would say that by far this show is going to be the most fun overall. We've got an amazing, huge set designed by Ellen Meisner. This is my first time to ever work with Harry, and he's such a dynamic, non-prescriptive director. He's been a lot of fun to work with. Needless to say, this cast is just amazing, and this really is going to be a fun show for all. And the thing with Irving Arts Center, here we like to put on a lot of safe or family-friendly shows, and this show, I wouldn't say it's necessarily safe, but it is something that is fun for the whole family and appropriate and something that we can all kind of take something out of and take something back from. And I know this is definitely something that's going to make people talk on their way home.
Well, I asked the two of you what the biggest challenges were for you in the show. For mine, I've had 2 big challenges. The first one was the accent.
You nail it.
Which started off half Russian, half Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so I've found, I think, my own voice in the character.
Yes.
The other challenge was because I'm frequently frustrated in this show. At someone. If it's not Hayes, it's Warner. If it's not Warner, it's Lydia. So there's someone that I'm frustrated with, and finding the peak, finding the don't go further than this because then it becomes violence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've been really good at that was too much.
Yeah, but you were right though, because I haven't seen that scene redone yet, which I want to see. But you're right; you can't make all the frustration at the same level.
There's got to be a build.
Otherwise, you're right. The only place you're going to go is to hit somebody.
And there was that one rehearsal where I just felt the beginning of a backhand.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And it was like, maybe he shouldn't almost hit a character in the movie.
Yeah, no, we want to like, right?
And it was funny because there were 2 actors that were stage right of me, and whenever I went for that backhand, the actors instinctively went, And it was funny because after the run of that scene, I was like, yeah, that's too much.
Yeah.
That's going too far.
That's usually when Harry will come back and say, do you remember what you did there last night? Keep that one. We did that a lot. Which I love with that.
And that's with a farce, with any comedy, but especially with a farce, you have to bookmark things.
Yes, right.
Okay, correct. That one worked. Let's try something else, but remember this one in case we want to go back to this.
Yeah. And that's as a director, that's one of those difficult things.
Yeah.
You have to. It's funny because it's much like being an actor. To get to a particular point in your role as an actor, you have to be willing to relax and get yourself out of the way and trust that it's going to happen.
Right.
And as a director, what you do is you sit back and go, am I ever going to remember that?
Exactly.
And you have to trust yourself, get out of the way, and just trust that, yes, I will. And so, the next night in rehearsal, we go, remember what you did last time?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do that one again.
Perfect. Anything else you guys want to say?
Boy, I'd encourage people to come see it because it's a funny show. You know what's lovely is, and we don't want to pretend we are, more than we are. We are main stage in Irving, and at this point in main stage's development, it's still a community theater. So we don't want to pretend we are any more than we are, but we're doing something very important here. As most any of us that are involved in theater have to realize that at whatever level we're doing it, we're encouraging our audience members to come see a play, to buy a ticket to sit in a theater. And if they like what they see, maybe they leave and they buy a ticket to another theater. Right. And that's a great thing. So we always have to keep in mind that what we are doing is important. But at this level, it's done with varying degrees of success. Yep. And the reason I absolutely encourage people to come see this play is because it's being done with a great deal of success, I think. The cast is very strong. All of you guys, top to bottom, are very talented. And so, it's great to be able to come to a beautiful theater in a beautiful space with a great set and a wonderful cast and a wonderful script. And really see something enjoyable that is not going to... You're not going to walk out going, God, I really love that, but that one guy, he's a little weak. Well, and you're not going to do that with this show.
To piggyback on something you just said, we've got this beautiful theater here. What is the actual name of
Dupree
this?
Theater.
This is the Dupree Theater. Right. This beautiful theater. I've sat in the theater. It's a very comfortable theater. The seats are comfortable, and you've got this whole complex, Lyric Stages on the other side of the Carpenter Theater, right?
Yeah.
And in between the two is this really, really fascinating art gallery. And outside, you've got all of these sculpture garden outside. It's a really, really sort of a... It's kind of like Irving's very industrial, and
here we are at Lincoln Center.
Yeah, exactly. This is an artistic oasis right here in the middle of all this industrial stuff, and it's really kind of it's a nice place. So make an evening. There are tons of restaurants around here. Go and eat something. Come and see a play,
and it's really funny.
It really is.
Once again, it really is.
It really is. It is a blast to watch these scenes get rehearsed because it's so much
And the funny thing, and we haven't left out any puns. Or sexual innuendo. I mean, Shakespeare is full of sexual innuendo, and here we're just putting it on stage.
Well, and
let it all hang out.
And there's the sort of insider meta stuff with like if you're in the arts, so if you're an actor or any sort of practitioner in the theatrical or cinematic arts, there's a lot that you can enjoy in this. The little inside jokes that are kind of funny. But it's not too inside baseball because of the broadness of the jokes. And so I think there's a lot of some little wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I mean, if you love baseball, you have to come see this.
That's true. That's right. Baseball has never been this sexy. Honestly. All right. Cool. Craig Bowman and Harry Freeman, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. And come and see Shakespeare in Hollywood. We open May 30th and we close June 14th.
14th. And get your tickets at irvingartscenter.com.
Yes, and that will also be on the screen right now.
Perfect.
Cool.
Fun.